Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I know that I decided to do a book channel, but, well, I'm blind, and that is probably a thing that people have a lot of questions about. So I thought I would answer the most commonly asked questions, and also a couple of the most weird questions. Maybe someday I'll come back to this when or if my channel grows and answer more questions if people have any. So if you have any, you can leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll do another one at some point. But this one's going to be short and basic. And I hope a little funny. Although, I should warn you, I'm going to get a tiny bit snarky with the weird questions because, well, if you're a normal human, they're weird. And if you're not, well, I'm trying to validate you by answering your weird questions. So let's start with the normal ones, shall we? Okay, so most people usually ask me how much I can see. Do I see any light? And the answer to that is no. I have zero light perception. I don't see color. I don't see anything at all. Therefore, I guess you can say it's dark all the time. Even though I have no concept of what dark or light or color or anything actually is. So I can't really tell anybody what it's like to live in the dark all the time because I don't know what that means. It's just my life. I was born that way. I can't really answer your question because I have nothing to compare it to. So, yeah, I don't have any vision. That is definitely the most commonly asked question. Next would be, what would you like to see? When I was little, I used to give the standard answers. I'd like to see the moon and the stars and the sun and colors. And yeah, I'd like to see that. Sure, that hasn't changed. I'm very fascinated with outer space. So I wouldn't mind seeing that stuff. But honestly, this is going to sound so conceited, but I want to see a baby picture of myself. I mean, obviously have no memory of myself as a baby, and I've always been jealous of everybody's ability to see pictures. So yeah, I want to see a baby picture of myself. That is what I want to see. Call me conceited, but there you go. Next question that people usually ask me is, how do I get around? And do I have a guide dog? I'm going to start with the guide dog question. I do not have a guide dog. Friends of mine have guide dogs, but I was also born with osteoporosis, so probably isn't the smart idea to get a dog. No matter how well trained a dog is still a dog and can go bananas and can drag me across a sidewalk and basically break me. So yeah, at some point I won't be able to walk if the dog breaks a hip or something. So therefore I decided not to get a dog and have decided to make do with a white cane, which is fine. And I tend to get driven around by my parents, but there is also Access, which is a taxi service that there is in California. I don't think it's anywhere else as far as I know. I live in California. Los Angeles to be exact. And it's like a sort of a taxi service for disabled people. There's also your standard Uber. I don't use it, but a lot of my friends do and love it because Uber lets you order on the spot rides, whereas Access you have to call a day in advance and you're still not going to get to where you want to go on time necessarily because you might have to share a ride with someone. And they're allowed to pick you up 25 minutes before or 25 minutes after your pickup time. So basically, your options kind of suck when it comes to Access. No offense. You'll get there early or you'll get there late. Never quite on time. So that is why people in the visually impaired community like Lyft or Uber. And some people do use public transportation like the buses and trains. So yeah, that's your basic travel. How do I read? So I read Braille. Although it's not as common anymore now that there's computers and stuff. The last statistic I read was that 30% of totally blind people read Braille, which in my opinion is pretty sad. Wait, no. 30% of blind people are employed. 10% read Braille. I don't know. It's a very low percentage. Wasn't really prepared when I did this video to look it up. But let's just say that a lot of people don't read Braille now because there are computers that read to you and just in general make things easier to navigate, I guess. I kind of rebel against that by purposely converting files to Braille and reading them on my Braille note versus listening to JAWS, which is a talking software on my computer, read to me. I just don't like robots. I will listen to all the audiobooks you want, but I do not like being read to by a robot if I can help it. I go on Facebook with my phone, and so I have to deal with VoiceOver, which is the talking program on Apple products. I have an iPhone. And so, yeah, I deal with that robot. But honestly, that robot sounds more human than JAWS. JAWS sounds like a bullfrog robot. But, yeah, I am definitely a more visual learner. I need to read something to understand it, like if it's something complicated. If it's an audiobook, I'm more than happy to listen to it, especially if it's a human voice. But if I'm trying to read a real book, like, for school, that's not for my entertainment, if it's like nonfiction, I need to read it. I do not retain important information by listening. I will fall asleep. I know that's kind of a weird trait in a blind person, but that's me. So the next question that people often ask me is, what do you do all day? What do you like to do? How do you spend your time? And, well, I started a book channel, so it's safe to assume that a huge chunk of my time is spent reading, either Braille books or audiobooks. Sometimes I do both. Actually, lately I've been doing both a lot. I listen to it and follow along in the Braille copy, or sometimes if I am like in a really good spot, I'll stop reading in the Braille and continue on audio. I've kind of been enjoying this method a lot lately. But yeah, Braille has sort of become a lot more accessible, even though I just kind of said that it's not something that everybody reads. There is a lot of like digital Braille now, so you can go on Bookshare, which is where we download our books, and download up to 100 books a month. Membership is $50 a year. Pretty good deal, in my opinion. So I download them onto my Braille note, and I'll read them. Or, like I said, I'll listen to them. But, yeah, I love books. And like I said earlier, I have osteoporosis, so that's pretty much why I spend a lot of my time reading. But the other thing I enjoy doing is swimming. Water is my friend because that is the one thing that I can do where chances are I won't break something. Unless, of course, somebody decides to tackle me in the pool. But, yeah, usually doesn't happen. But yeah, water is my friend. I love any body of water. When I was little, I used to get in trouble because I would find the biggest puddle and jump into it and make a huge splash and wet whoever was passing by. I got benched 2 or 3 times for that. It's bad to say it was totally worth it. I also got benched a lot because I would climb over the lane lines to the deep end of the pool at Brown Institute. Yeah, I was in the naughty corner a lot. And I am very proud of it. Yeah, so suffice it to say I love water. I love swimming. I recently got into a water fitness class at the YMCA, because I boycotted physical therapy. I hated physical therapy. It's boring. The exercises are boring. And you're not doing it with anyone. You're just there with your therapist. And doing them at home is even more boring. So, stopped doing them, which meant I was in more pain, which meant I had to do exercise some way. So, water fitness was suggested, and now I try to go every day, but it doesn't always happen, but I still love it. My favorite are shoe-throughs. I don't know how to describe those, but yeah, anyway. I should just stop talking about things I can't describe. But yeah, I love water a lot. That's about the only physical thing I like doing, swimming. I recently swam across the pool, and I was very excited about it. I did go horseback riding and stuff when I went to blind people camp. Camp Bloomfield, to be exact, which unfortunately recently burned down in the Woolsey fires. It's in Malibu. I think that's what they were called, the Woolsey fires. It was a very, very sad day for me and probably everybody in the visually impaired community who went to Camp Bloomfield. There were a lot of good times at Camp Bloomfield. Days of horseback riding and archery and swimming and hiking and campfires and lots of stuff. But it is sadly no more. So, yeah. I actually did go on a horse several times, which now looking back, I can't believe, because that is pretty high up. And if I had fallen off, that could have been bad. But I loved horseback riding as a kid. I was actually excluded a lot in some of the activities that were even meant for blind people because of my bone condition, like goal ball. You can look that up on YouTube. It's really hard to explain the rules. But you play it blindfolded. You're lying on your stomach with a ball with a bell and you roll it instead of throw it. And I don't really know the rules exactly. There's a lot of being on your stomach involved. But yeah, I couldn't play that game really. Or beeper baseball, which is literally baseball with a beeping ball. So we know where the ball is. But honestly, I didn't really care that much that I couldn't play a lot of the sports. Really, the only time I was ever upset that I couldn't do something was when it was water related. Specifically, Water Day at Francis Blend. That was the blind school I went to from age 2 to 7 when I could not participate in Water Day. Water Day was basically where they put a gazillion wading pools on the field and everybody got to climb in them and play with these cool water toys. And what did I get to do? I got to sit on a chair with my feet in the water and hope that I could get a rubber duck. And those rubber ducks were huge. And I wanted them. And I never got a rubber duck. And for some reason, to this day, I am still mad that I did not get one of those ginormous rubber ducks. Do I need therapy? Maybe. Nah, not really. But, yeah, I don't know why. That memory just sticks out. Wanting that rubber duck. And the funny thing is, when I ask people about the rubber ducks, they say that they're not as big as I remember, so chances are I'm just inflating them in my memory because my hands were little. I was between the ages of 2 and 7, so probably they were just normal-sized rubber ducks that now I picture as huge, super-sized rubber ducks. Anyway, I went on a tangent. But yeah, truly, my exclusion from physical activities never really bothered me, especially hikes. There's nothing more boring than going for a walk, especially when you are allergic to nature, which is kind of the point of going for a walk a lot of the time. Put a flower under my nose and I will sneeze. Well, not every flower. Certain flowers are okay. And I can enjoy them decently enough when I'm medicated, which I usually am most of the time. But I don't know. I just find walks boring in general, especially when they're required things like PE class. Truly, all I was thinking about when I was walking was my legs hurt, my legs hurt, my legs hurt, because there was nothing enjoyable about it. So, yeah, generally speaking, I was not a physical kid. So, yeah, being left out of nature hikes was a bonus in my book. But being left out of a swimming pool was a tragedy. Wow, that was a long tangent. But, hey, you're getting to know me a little. Now, on to the weird questions people ask me. I'm only going to do 2 because I can't think of any more. And honestly, I'm sure you'll come up with plenty in the comments. But here's one that I find bizarre. How do you know if you're awake if your eyes are always closed? Okay. Everybody, do something with me, will you? Close your eyes. Keep them closed. Keep them closed. Wake up! Were you sleeping? Were you? In those 10-15 seconds that your eyes were closed, were you sleeping? No. So therefore, just because my eyes are closed does not mean I'm asleep. Although I have to admit that I did love to kind of sleep in class when the class was boring, and the teacher would think I was just concentrating because my eyes were always closed when I was actually sleeping. So, yeah, there is that advantage to sleeping in class and having your eyes closed all the time. People never knew when you were actually sleeping. But, yeah, generally speaking, I know how I'm awake the same way that you do. You're just suddenly conscious. Although I guess sometimes, on occasion, I have to pinch myself because I can't believe people are actually asking this question. So, yeah, there's that question. And the last question. How do I wipe? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. People ask me how I wipe. Yeah, you get the picture, right? How I wipe. I'm going to answer it this way. How do I wipe my face? Pick up a napkin and I wipe it and I kind of feel around to make sure it's clean. Same applies to other areas. I mean, are you actually looking in the mirror at the dinner table when you're eating dinner to make sure your face is clean when you wipe your mouth with a napkin? Probably not. So, there's really no need to look when you're wiping. You're just doing it. Yeah. Same goes for bathing. You're not actually looking when you're washing your hair, are you? You're using your hands and scrubbing your head. I mean, unless you have, mirrors in the shower. But, yeah, those are some of the weird questions that people ask me. And sometimes I want to roll my non-working eyes. And sometimes I want to be generous and actually answer your question. So, today I'm answering your question. And I'm kind of having fun being snarky about it. So, shall we end on that note? I think we shall. That is basically just a little bit about me as a blind person. And if you have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments. My next video, I promise, will be about books. So, and hopefully it will finally be my top books of 2022. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Or seeing your comments in future videos, I should say. Right. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye. Stop recording video.